Hello, everyone. This is Avail Talks, where we will be talking about everything related to the Aleo blockchain. I will be interviewing many representatives from different projects so you guys can find out more about the Aleo blockchain and its ecosystem. And thank you for coming here to this episode, and we hope you enjoy. So, today we have with us the CEO of Avail, Zach Schwirep. Thank you for coming here, Zach. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I've been in the blockchain space for like 3 years. I started off trading basically in the beginning of the end of 2020, beginning of 2021 bull run. And then basically throughout trading and getting to know a lot about other crypto projects and blockchain in general. At the same time, I was studying maths and computer science at going into university, and they just those two, the passion for crypto and blockchain and computer science and maths, I guess, merged, and I delved into more specifics about how a blockchain works, what benefits it can give to society, and what value it can provide. And then I started coding more, trying to learn how to build, and now we're here.
All right. Can you tell me a bit about your role at Avail?
So I'm CEO and co-founder at Avail. I manage the team. I see that we're heading in the right direction, what we want to achieve. We design the systems. I also code a lot alongside our CTO Giorgio Grigolo and another two developers that we have working. And that's most of my role, and to see that we achieve what we set out to do.
All right, cool. And for those that don't know what Avail is, can you give them a brief introduction
Sure.
overview about what Avail is?
So at Avail, we're building a private self-custodial wallet and smart contract interface based on the Aleo blockchain. So it basically enables you to have private full ownership of your money and data and interact with others on the Aleo blockchain.
All right, so whilst we're on the topic of what Avail is, can you mention what unique features Avail has inside of it?
So I'd say there are four main differentiators when speaking about Avail as a wallet towards others. So we've identified a big pain point for many people when it comes to cryptocurrency wallets, which is recovery and having to write down and store a seed phrase. These 12 words that you have to write down on a piece of paper and go and store in your wardrobe or something. And
Or under the
your
tiles.
savings are just tied, your savings and data are just tied to this piece of paper. Okay, you can split it up, you can put it in different places, but at the end of the day, it's still one point of failure. So what we've done is created the system where your private key on your device is sharded, so split up into three different pieces, and this is sent. One is stored on your local cloud, one is sent to our data storage, and the other is sent to another independent data vault. And what happens then is you can by proving your identity, then you can recover your wallet. And you don't need to store anything. Your identity is how you recover your wallet, by proving you are who you are. So the second differentiator would be that we combine legal contracts with smart contracts, creating seamless agreements. So for example, you can make a rental agreement very easily where the legal contract that you sign with the tenant, in this case, if I'm the landlord, I'm signing with the tenant. If you're renting a place from me, then the payment can also take place on the same platform, which is Avail. And the cost of the contract is much cheaper than going to a lawyer. Thirdly, privacy. So you have, since we're building on Aleo is the first fully private programmable blockchain network, and that enables you to have private full ownership of your money and data. And then fourth, we are also in the works, we are integrating with on-ramp companies to be able to have seamless crypto to fiat transfers and vice versa. And we then want to integrate the ability to have a virtual IBAN that you can use as a channel to pay anyone that is also not on the network. So those four, I would say, are our main differentiating factors.
All right, cool. So there are four main features that you just said that would differentiate Avail from other wallets. The people want to know what are the main problems that Avail is solving.
Yeah. So the underlying problem here is that you don't have when you put your money in a bank, you're basically loaning your money out, giving it to the bank. Same thing you're doing with your data when you give it to Facebook or you give it to Meta as a whole company, Instagram, or any other company that works with the client server model. So we live in a world where we're just delegating ownership of our data, and money is data. We're just delegating everything. And that's the fundamental issue. And then you start saying, okay, so how can we solve this? First, we need to gain ownership of our data and money. And blockchain in general, when Bitcoin came out, solved that. Because you now have a cryptographic key that you store on your device, and that's the only way you can move and use your data / money. But okay, so that's great and all, but then what Bitcoin did and Ethereum and these initial blockchains, the problem they created is that everything's now public. And now everyone can target you. When I interact with you and I go and I send you 5 ETH to your MetaMask, then I know your address, and then I can go and see your past transactions, your balance, and follow your transactions up into the future if you're using the same address.
I think many people hear this thing that blockchain is public, but not many people really understand what it really means. That the wallets are.
It means that all your data that you're storing on Ethereum, for example, are in a layer 2 built on the EVM. There is no EVM layer 2 currently out on mainnet that gives you full privacy, private self-custody. There isn't. And it's an issue that Aleo is solving. And that's then where Aleo comes in, is that they solve this. They create a fully private environment with the benefits that a blockchain gives you, which is full ownership of your money because you're storing your key. And so then when you get to how we're solving that with Aleo, is for Aleo to be actually used as a technology and the people to get the benefits of Aleo, it has to be made seamless, effortless to use in your day-to-day. And so that's where we come in. That's what Avail does. We maximize user experience whilst not trading off privacy and security. That's by integrating these differentiating factors that I mentioned before with in our wallet.
All right. You mentioned the Aleo blockchain and how Avail is being built on the Aleo blockchain. Since it's the first episode of Avail Talks, certain viewers might not know what Aleo is. Can you describe it in maybe one sentence?
Yeah, as I said before, Aleo is the first fully private programmable blockchain. This means that for who's in the blockchain space, I'd say it this way. If you have, so you have Bitcoin here, you have Ethereum here, and you have Zcash. Bitcoin's like, okay, first blockchain, I can transact, and I don't have programmability, which Ethereum gives me in smart contracts. But then Ethereum doesn't have privacy that Zcash has. So here you have privacy, private Bitcoin, basically Zcash. Then you have programmable with smart contracts, but public, and Aleo's here. It's private, ownership, and programmable. So it combines the best of both worlds, if you want to call it.
All right. And if you go on the Aleo Twitter or look at any projects on the Aleo blockchain, you'll hear a lot of ZKP, this, zero knowledge proof, that. Yeah. What is zero knowledge proof?
Yeah. So to start off, zero knowledge proofs are a method to prove that a statement is true without revealing any information about that statement. And to explain why Aleo uses this is how they achieve privacy, basically. How Aleo started, there was a research paper called Zexy, and this basically solved generic zero-knowledge computation. So that's how you create a ZKVM, where you can they created then the language Leo that enables, sorry, the screen turned a bit dark, that enables you to then program any contract, because it's Turing complete, I guess. And you can then With Zexi, you reach generic zero-knowledge computation, which means you can run any functions in any program in a privacy-preserving manner. Now, to get back to zero-knowledge proofs and proving something about a statement without revealing that thing, I'll give you an example. So, in the case of loans, for example, you're the lender, you're lending me an amount of money, or I want to lend 10,000 from you, but you want to run some checks. And you want to say, hey, I want to check that you're getting, I don't know, more than 600 euro, for example, pay in a month. I want to check that your credit score from your bank.
I want to know those things before I lend you money.
Yeah. So what then I can do is, I don't send you these documents with all the extra information in them and my exact pay and my address and who I work for and all this data that isn't needed. All you need is a proof that says I, Zach, get more than 600 euro per month in this case, or I have a credit score greater than 400, whatever. And so by, for example, scanning this document myself, and there's this whole verification that happens locally on my device, then a zero-knowledge proof can be generated on my device, where the secret inputs that I generated when I scanned my document have been taken. I compute this proof, and I send you that proof, and all you have to do is verify. But you learn nothing else. This is the process of verification that you can rely on because it is maths fundamentally and cryptography.
So if I understood it exactly, you're proving to me that you have the correct data I want. You're proving that you have that data without showing me the data itself.
Yes, because I'm not sending you the documents actually. I'm sending you a proof of that I collected when I was scanning the document, and then okay, you can get into like maybe I can maliciously scan another document. This is still these are still developing technologies, and we'll see how to actually verify that someone is actually scanning the document that they own, and there's this type of verification. I guess that it has to be some third-party verification that happens locally in that case. But there are projects working on this, but that's the idea, for me not to send you the document with all the extra data.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
All right. How is Avail making use of these zero-knowledge proofs?
Yeah. So we're built on Aleo, which is zero-knowledge proof machine, and that's how we achieve privacy. So we use them when you want to do private transfers. We use them when a user goes and connects their wallet to a decentralized application like Arcane Finance or ShadowFi, and they use their wallet to compute the program that these dApps have presented to them. So that's a zero-knowledge proof running on their device there. That's basically it. But then we do plan to integrate these checks, and also when we're generating these Leo programs, these smart contracts on Aleo, to combine with the legal contracts to create these seamless agreements, it's also now the functionality of your agreement. In this case, for example, in renting, it's the payment that has to be done from me to you per month if I'm renting from you. That's a zero-knowledge proof being computed when I'm transferring to you. So any computation really that happens through the wallet, i.e. happens through Aleo, is running a zero-knowledge proof.
All right. Aleo is relatively new. Where do you see Aleo in about, let's say, 2 years?
Interesting question. Well, I see them in mainnet. Yeah.
All right. And what does that mean for viewers that don't know what a mainnet is?
Yeah. So currently Aleo is in testnet. To give some context to testnet and mainnet, testnet is basically the blockchain that has been built and is being built in a test environment not with real money but with test credits.
All right.
To really test out the system and see that everything's working well. And they are in the later stages of this. They are doing stress testing at the moment, so really seeing that the system can take a big toll of transactions and seeing the limits of the system. And once that's done, and you know that the system can take these limits and be pushed, they will push it out to mainnet, which means now people can actually convert and inject money from fiat into it, and actually its actual value being transferred, both in NFTs or tokens.
All right. So you mentioned where it would be in terms of mainnet being out there and being used. But in terms of users, how do you think it would compare to other blockchains out there like Ethereum or
Well,
Solana? Do you think it
yeah.
could be a competitor to those
I
blockchains?
definitely think it can be a competitor because of the edge they have in privacy. And when people really do realize that on the other blockchains, all their data is public, and if you actually want to achieve and use this technology in the real world, in your day to day, and go to the doctor and pay the doctor, go do anything really, um, have contracts, legal contracts that companies have between them, and the functionality between them, be on the on chain. You can have this be public, it just won't work. A company doesn't want to reveal the data it's doing in their contracts, in their agreements, and the functionality behind that, and how much they're paying for a certain resource. Just doesn't make sense. Same as I don't want you to see all my transaction history. And I don't want you to see the unique tokens I have. It's not only money that you can see, it's data. It's like, okay, Facebook has all my data and they gave it to Cambridge Analytica that then ran this whole firm that really destroyed the democracy. But now it's fully transparent and you can have companies built on Ethereum, for example, solely to aggregate this data and track people, track addresses connected to identities, and know everything about you and target you psychologically with ads as they do with Facebook and others. So the edge is privacy, and I think it can scale into the biggest network because of it. If they have scalability, if they have privacy, and they gain traction, it can scale. It can scale.
All right, so you do believe it could be a top 10 blockchain?
Of course.
All right. And now where do you see Avail Wallet in 5 years?
Yeah, in 5 years, I hope to have all the features I mentioned before integrated. I hope that people would be able to go on Avail, store their money there, store their data there, and they have peace of mind in knowing that they have private full ownership of their money and data, and they can go and use that money and spend at the grocer or pay for dinner and do everything. So with a debit card, I didn't mention this before, we're also planning to connect a debit card to your wallet that you can go and spend in your day-to-day with. So how I imagine Avail in 5 years is that you'd be able to use this debit card seamlessly on your phone. In terms of technology, we're a bit back on mobile. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of actually generating and computing the zero knowledge proof on your phone. This is very computationally expensive, it takes a lot of time, and if you want to get into solutions about this, I don't know, but we can, and it's up to you.
I want to ask you a question that's asked by many people not in this space, and that would be, why should I use Avail Wallet as opposed to Revolut?
Yeah, I mean currently, I can speak about this in terms of in 5 years, like you said.
Yeah.
So in 5 years,
when Avail has released all its features.
in 5 years, I would say you would use Avail instead of Revolut, because one, you actually when you put your money in Revolut, you have to understand you are giving your money to them, you are loaning it out, and they can block your funds, they can restrict you if Revolut fail. You fail with them, as in, I want to explain this. By fail with them, I mean when you put your money in a bank, that bank is basically a glorified investment fund. That means they are making investments and they are giving out loans to, like Revolut make investments. They will go and buy bonds from governments at a certain rate to gain a small percentage over a certain amount of years. If they don't manage the risk in terms of the inflation rate and how much the currency they bought those bonds in of the state like America and dollars goes down, then you'll see things like Silicon Valley Bank failed in March earlier this year, and that's why they failed. So that's what I mean when you fail with them, as in you're storing your money in an investment by this bank. By storing your money in Aleo, in Avail, thus you have an Aleo account, you're not failing with someone. Your key is your someone, it's yours, and you now have full ownership of your money and no one can. You fail when all the nodes that are running on Aleo fail, and there will be hundreds of these, if not thousands, in the future. What I want to say, though, sorry, the screen turned dark again. why you would use that. So that's one point, to have full ownership of your money and data. You'd use Avail. Secondly, if you're a freelancer and you want to get legal contracts done for cheaper, around $7, instead of paying a lawyer $400, and at the same time you don't need to go then to your bank and make the payments that need to be done in that agreement. It's all streamlined for you automatically. So that's another thing. And in general, I believe it can get cheaper to lend. It can get cheaper. It can offer you more, is what I say.
I want to steer the conversation to another question I get asked frequently by people that I tell them about Avail, and that I tell them that we will allow them to transact in private, to have a wallet that is decentralized but still keeps your contents private, and that it can't be seen by anyone like other wallets on, say, Solana. And they ask me, sure, privacy is power, and they want that privacy and they want to use the wallet. However, there's the question of compliance.
Yeah.
How will Avail give privacy to users while staying compliant with financial legislations and authorities?
Yeah, 100%. So, off the bat, I mean, if I had to say our stance on this, it's that we do not, as Avail, we do not want to facilitate bad actors in any way. We don't want to create an environment that is unsafe, that people, fraudulent actors, are not held accountable, illegal activities can take place easily. If it's fully private in the sense that no one can ever be held accountable because these transactions cannot be seen, then you're just creating a pocket of the economy that facilitates bad actors, and that's not what we want to do. So what we are going to do is split the ownership of data and money. So there's monetary assets that you can have on Avail and tokens, and there's NFTs, which are just unique tokens that can be contracts, digital art, you name it. It's any unique asset. So the unique assets, the data, no viewing key is needed there. That's fully private. It's yours. They're your documents. It's your stuff. It's like your private Google Drive. But then when it comes to the monetary side, what we do is, like, we shard the private key. We shard the viewing key to your monetary transactions between, for now, us and the partner company that is independent secure storage. And then if the government, if law enforcement does present us with probable cause and a court order to see the monetary transactions of a wallet, then we will comply. And that's how we see it moving. If we don't do this structure to hold people, bad actors, accountable, then it just won't scale and it won't be adopted as a whole. Like a privacy preserving wallet that is self-custodial will not be the mainstream in the world. It can never be, because it will just be shut down by governments. And I'll give you an example. So imagine, because now I just spoke about how it would be framed, but I'll give some examples. Imagine, I don't know, we did some illegal activity, and to facilitate this activity or this illegal goods and services, because I'm just paying you can just open an account and I start paying you for these illegal activities on this network. And alright, the law enforcement notice, but they can't see nothing. They can't see transactions, and they go to you. For example, they know they have suspect of you, and they're like, you have your viewing key of your Avail account and we need to see your transactions. And you're like, no, I don't want to give you my viewing key. And they can't really do anything to you. They suspect, they don't have evidence.
All right.
And so then they can do nothing to, they leave and they come to us. They come to Avail and they're like, we need to see the transactions of that wallet address. And let's say we don't store the viewing key at all. No viewing key at all, just fully private. And we tell them, no, we don't store this.
Avail will get shut down. And
wait.
No?
Maybe not for 1 or 5, but when it scales, imagine the police have to do this every week. And they're coming to us and they're saying, another illegal transaction that we think happened, and we can't view it.
Yeah.
And after that happens maybe 50 times,
Too
maybe
many red
30
flags.
times, they'll shut you down. We're a company and they'll just shut us down. So that's the reality of it. And that's how I view it. That's how we view it.
All right. Sounds cool. Sorry, one of
CTO is looking at us.
the CTO started coughing. It's okay. I wanted to ask a question more catered to those in development. Can you talk a bit about what languages are being used to develop Aleo?
Yeah, sure.
And I know that Aleo blockchain has their own language. How is that playing with Avail?
Yeah, so mostly if you want to develop a smart contract or program in this case, as they call it on Aleo, you'd code in Leo, which is this a domain-specific language developed by Aleo to code basically really abstract these, they call them zero-knowledge circuits. That is how you then compute a zero-knowledge proof by coding circuits, but they abstract that away into a very easy-to-use language that kind of merges, for who knows, TypeScript and Rust, and really creates this nice environment to code in. Then if you want to develop applications, you can then use SnarkVM and Rust and access SnarkVM through Rust as a library. And that's how we develop mostly in Rust, and we use SnarkVM.
What is SnarkVM?
So SnarkVM is the ZKVM that they say when Aleo says this is ZKVM. SnarkVM is that execution environment that allows you to then call programs, Leo programs literally, and put them as a parameter into a function along with your, for example, your signature to sign the function, and then this computes it, and it computes the zero-knowledge proof on your device. And we hope to, in the future, help developers that you don't need to build a wallet to build a mobile application on Aleo. You can build an application that is a DEX, for example, decentralized exchange, but then use Avail on mobile to sign by, for example, using the Wallet Connect protocol. And that's how I see it for developers. It's Rust, TypeScript, and Leo.
What has been the biggest challenge so far with developing Avail?
I'd say, well, scanning was an initial challenge that we noticed that really. So when you want to get your transaction history on Aleo, you have to scan the chain. Why? Because Aleo is just a series of blocks, one after each other, and these blocks, in every block there are these records, which are just records of data owned by people, sequentially after each other. So block, records, block, records. And they are all encrypted, basically.
All right.
And so then for me to get my private balance of different tokens that I have on Aleo, I have to then start from the latest block, start going through each and every one.
And scan all the records inside them.
And by scan I mean you're going to literally try, like you have a lock and a key on every record, and you're going to try and decrypt these encrypted records with your viewing key.
All right.
And so this really does not scale as the chain grows, where you have to always try and decrypt other people's records to find your own. And what we then did is develop this system with record pointers, we call them, which is, okay, so you create a wallet account and you're going to start scanning the chain from that point forward. And you're always going to scan the whole chain once. So say I opened an Avail account, an amount of time has passed, I open my Avail wallet again, and I start scanning the chain. I do that, I start trying to decrypt, and I found one of my records. At that point in time, the system, the application, will store the block height where it has found that record and an ID, a unique identifier to this record, and some other metadata that really speeds up things in the future. We then encrypt this and store this locally on your device. So then you no longer have to scan the chain. You just have to use these record pointers to get the records you want to use.
All right. So you'd say that the most challenging part was setting up the system of record pointers to find the data without having to open each one.
Yeah, I'd say.
All right. So I just asked you what the most challenging thing was. What now I want to go to the other end of the spectrum. What did you
Screen black again.
what was your favorite thing about working on this project?
I'd say bringing a team together, working on something we want to do, that we want to create. Meeting new people. Went to Istanbul about 3 weeks ago. So right now, to give everyone context, it's like beginning of December in 2023,
Yeah.
and about like 3 weeks ago there was DEF Connect in Istanbul, and Aleo hosted the ZK house. It was really spectacular. We met a lot of people, the Aleo themselves, a lot of people in the community, a lot of other builders out there, and it was just great. I'd say that was the best, like meeting new people and gathering a team and working and focusing on something we actually feel like will bring more value to people in the world.
Do you think people will see Avail in any other conferences apart from DEF Connect?
Yes, I do. So I don't know if I think we can say it. And we just were talking to Aleo last week, and we're basically going to be the European DevRels, so developer relations in Europe for Aleo, which means we'll be going around Europe next year to conferences and events alike, and we'll be hosting workshops to code in Leo and learn more about Aleo and use Avail with Aleo. So, and hosting events like we'll be hosting, I think in the start of next year, 2024. Julian will be setting up an event in Malta. I think, yes.
Yeah, we'll give more updates on that
Of
in
course.
the coming
But for
weeks.
sure we'll be at more conferences in the future.
Yeah. I want to move away from the crypto space for a second, away from blockchain. Say I am someone that doesn't know what a blockchain is. How would you explain Avail to me, and why should I get it? Why should I download it?
Yeah. So I'd say Avail is a digital wallet that can enable you to have full ownership of your money and data. And what I mean by full ownership is that, like, you have a key to your house, and only you can enter your house because you own it and you have the key. Now you can have a key that you only have to your money and to your data. So when you store your money in a bank or your data in Facebook, for example, if the data is not encrypted, but most of it isn't in Facebook's case, I think. Yeah, I just looked at the CTO. You are handing over this key to these companies, the banks, the big social media companies, and what Avail does is it gives you this key and you only own it. So that's the benefits of full ownership that I'd say. Then I would explain the benefit of that you can make cheaper legal contracts and agreements that also combines the payments and data transfers. And it's just a tool that streamlines your financial activities, if you want to call it, and your activities, what you want to do with your data. And I believe in the future it will even, if we're talking in the future, it would enable you to do even more with your data and monetize your data if you want to. Not Facebook monetize it for you. You can be a data point and aggregate. So the potential there is limitless, I see. But that's how I frame it. And the key analogy I feel people will understand.
I want to stay away from the crypto space as we're doing from our last question.
Okay.
So we address kind of the people that aren't really in this space. A very common question is, why should I give about privacy? What's
I got you.
Why care? Like, what's wrong with having a wallet that can be seen by everyone? Why care about the privacy?
It's really, I think, a personal preference. Like, if you feel like if you go out with your friend and you want to have a drink with them and you then send them the money for the drink after, if you feel like in that action you're okay with them being able to see all your past transaction history, your balance, and your future transactions, plus the data you store in your wallet in that one transaction, because now they have your address. Well, that's up to you, and it's your choice. But I feel like it's a right, and to be able to have full ownership, self-custody, and also preserve my privacy. In me, that I'm paying my friend for a drink, not reveal all that data in the blockchain sense, but to stay away from the crypto side of things when it comes to actually having ownership of your data. In the like, there are cases in the past, like Cambridge Analytica that we mentioned earlier, where I believe this still happens. Like, these big companies and big corporations and politicians pay to program society's minds because their data is owned on a server by other companies, mostly social media companies, and they will take those data points. There are companies that will take those data points. They will aggregate and they will psychologically target specific audiences to induce fear and lean them towards one side of things that the company that is paying wants to lean them towards.
Conspiracy theories.
Maybe conspiracy theories, but I think it's actual fact, and that's what I feel.
Me personally, I feel that it is a bit ridiculous that these wallets, I don't want to mention any names, but you can think of all the wallets that are on
Hot takes.
crypto, how they are all public, which means that everything inside the wallet can be seen by everyone, and when you send money, people can see that you sent money. I think that's something ridiculous, and I want to ask you, why hasn't a fully private wallet like Avail been done before, and why
Yeah.
hasn't a fully private blockchain been done before? Why is
Yeah.
it now 2023 when these are emerging?
Yeah, I'd say the maths behind it, the cryptography behind it, that needed to develop, and new research needed to be done for then the technology that is the foundation of Aleo really to be developed and give rise to the ability to have a private decentralized economy, in the sense of private decentralized blockchain. I do want to mention though that there was Zcash, for example, before that, and Monero, that did facilitate private transactions, but the proving mechanisms they used in the past were quite slow, I would say. But they are improving their systems, and this is not a competition in a sense. But Aleo then really extends that functionality in that now you can compute anything privately because of the ZKVM. I do also want to mention, from a point we were saying before, that blockchains are pseudo-anonymous. So, okay, if I don't interact with you and I know that there's an address and I don't know that this address is correlated to your identity, okay, I don't know what you're doing. But the moment you interact with me in the real world, and there was that transaction that's correlated to a time, and I know I met you in that time, and I know you sent me that money or that data, if it's an NFT, in that time, then I can see everything. So that's where it breaks, and it's low threshold in my opinion.
All right. Very interesting stuff. It's of course a new industry in this private blockchain. Thank you, Zach, for being on this on our first episode of Avail Talks. We will be doing many more of these in the coming time. We hope you enjoyed. We'd like to thank Zach for being here.
A pleasure.
And we'll see you soon. Make sure to follow us on our social media. You can find us at Avail Wallet on X, and you will find the link to our Discord also in the link below. Thank you, and have a wonderful